All right, I got 6:30.
Okay. Well, we can go ahead and get started here.
All right. Well,
yeah.
Welcome everybody to the quarterly Munds Park Community Watch meeting being hosted by Public Works. I wouldn't be able to do this without my buddy Mark De La Rocca and Public Works. So, Josh, this is your meeting basically. So you start us off.
All right. Thank you, Len. And again, thank you, Public Works, for hosting as well. It's good to see everybody this evening. I'll be kind of quick. We got quite a few things going on as the park is slowly kind of closing down for the winter, parts of it anyways. RV park's kind of shut down, as well as the country club. But the fire department's still doing stuff. So we've applied for a couple grants recently. One of those is a swift water rescue grant through the state Department of Forest and Fire Management. The reason that this grant's available to us is because of our proximity to the Raphael fire. We just got notified today that we were awarded that grant. Wes called me today and notified me of that. I appreciate that, Wes.
Great.
So that kit consists of rope rescue equipment, which we'll add to our stuff. A rescue boat, which will significantly update the one we had, which is over 20 years old. And then something we have never had is a aerial drone. So that'll be something that will be expanding our capabilities quite a bit. Moving on to kind of staffing stuff, we have had 2 new hires recently. So we promoted from our reserve program 2 people to full-time. It's Ben Stream and Mac White are their names. Ben is a paramedic firefighter, and Mac is an EMT firefighter. They've both been on about 2 months and 1 month for the other, respectively, anyway. And then additionally, we have 2 people who are newly into paramedic school. So Benny Pospisil off of A shift is in paramedic school, has been for a couple months. And then our new hire, Mac White, had applied and just got accepted as well to Yavapai College's program. So excited for them. Other news, we had a bear jaw meeting this week. So they had a busy season. They spent a lot of time up north in Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, that area. But big news is they finally received their new pieces of apparatus. They ordered 2 new crew carriers about a year ago. And with everything going on, that it takes about 9 months. It took a little longer with supply chain stuff, so it took about a year, but those are in. They're in service. They're using them. We won't really get to use them until next fire season, but they're excited to have them, and they're setting them up right now. Along those same lines, really early notice for you guys, but the Bear Jaw community cleanup is already scheduled. We're looking at starting the week of April 25th. So that'll probably go for about 2 weeks. Again, we're going to try and hit Munds Park, Kachina, and Mountain Air. There'll be more information pushed out as we get close to that. And then lastly, I want to just mention we have one kind of last event before we really get into winter. December 4th, we are hosting the fire district, along with our auxiliary, is hosting Santa and Mrs. Claus. We'll be putting them in our fire truck and visiting kids around the park. You can register. To register, you need to grab a paper or a newspaper, the Pinewood News, or come down to the fire station. We can get you a registration form, and then you can turn those in either at the Pinewood News, at the fire station. We'll accept them there too. So the deadline to register is November 27th. So that's coming up. You got 10 days to register, and we look forward to seeing everybody. Appreciate it.
Josh, one of my friends asked me if the burn barrels were still available, and I told him I thought they were. And he said, "Well, do I have to pick that up? Do they deliver?" I said, "I don't know." So,
Yeah, give a call down to the station. It's 928-286-9885. They are still available then, and we will deliver them, and we'll pick them up when you're done with them.
Fantastic. That's it.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Josh. Next, from the Sheriff's Office, in the Traffic Division, Lieutenant James Stang had a previous conflict, or whatever we're going to call it, which he did. So our community deputy is Adam Simonson. So Adam, what's happening?
Thanks, Glenn. So just a few things to cover. There hasn't been a whole lot of new trends or anything that we've been tracking in the particular area. Obviously, with summertime shutting down and cold season coming in, ATV traffic has dwindled down quite a bit to where we don't have as many ATV violations or complaints coming in. Kind of goes hand in hand with any kind of noise complaints that we've been receiving, whether it be Airbnbs or just parties in general. Seems like those types of calls for service for us have started dwindling down as expected with the season change. There's been no other specific new trends that we've been tracking as far as property crimes or anything in the area. To be expected, we do have the occasional oddity coming in off the highway, typically traffic related type things. But for the community itself, we haven't been tracking any kind of major crime trends or anything developing. Aside from that, one of the topics we wanted to touch on was just winter preparedness. Obviously, we are getting into the season where we're hoping that people are preparing their houses and lives around the winter preparations. Typically, some of the things that we're going to recommend to the community members, and hopefully they get the word out to neighbors and friends, are not only preparations for home, but as well as travel as well. Some of the things that we want to get out there for local residents is being mindful of parking restrictions with the winter months coming ahead and snowplows trying to get through the areas, making sure that they can access all the county roads appropriately and keep those as clear as they can for you guys. Obviously, that's in effect. That was from November 1st through April 1st, I believe, is our restriction timeframes. So make sure you guys are spreading the word around neighbors, anybody new to the area. One thing that we also recommend to our community is making sure that you're prepared at home. Obviously, with winter coming in, you never know if we're going to be getting power outages or services to your area. So we like to recommend people have at least 24 hours worth of reserves inside their house and that they're prepared to go a day or so without having electricity, power. Make sure that we have wood, pellets, things like that kind of reserved at the house just in case. And obviously foods, depending on what your situation is, have some foods that maybe you don't need to cook or utilize electricity to prepare. Same thing with travels. Make sure that our vehicles are squared away. One of the big things that we see a lot of in wintertime is obviously slippage on the road. So be mindful of tire pressure in your vehicles. If you're not sure how to check that, you can check your owner's manual or the stickers on the side of your driver's door typically have a recommended tire pressure setting. Or you could even go down to a local tire shop and they'd probably be able to give you a recommendation as to what type of tire you have and what pressure that would be best rated at for driving in the snow. Something else we like for residents to be aware of is having a reserve not only at home, but maybe in your car, a quick go bag consisting of maybe some small snacks, some water, a blanket, things like that. So if you guys do get stuck in the snow, obviously we're going to do our best to get out to you and get you rescued as soon as we can, but saving yourself with a couple of snacks so you don't get too angry with your family sitting on the side of the road while you're waiting for us would be preferred. And lastly, I think on that note, if you guys are planning on traveling, keep in mind you could stay in touch with the county website or just getting onto local news and checking weather systems coming in, planning in advance, any kind of shopping preparations, things like that. If you get out the day before a storm, that would be the best, and less time on the road during these storms is ideal. If you guys do have to travel in the middle of a storm or icy road conditions, just make sure you have a plan and maybe have somebody, a third party, aware of what your plans are so that they can kind of track where you left, where you're heading to, when you got there, or if you got there. And if there's a concern about delay or anything, you got somebody to call in a concern for us to go check out. Otherwise, we're always available for any further questions or recommendations. Our SAR program is really good at winter preparation lists and how to best prepare yourself for the winter time. So if you guys have further questions, you guys are more than welcome to reach out to myself at the sheriff's office or just about anybody. They can get you a little bit more detailed list or sit down and help you guys out if necessary.
Very good. Let me throw in a couple of things. I think we're going to have I think we're going pretty good on our agenda here. for winter type things, I like to recommend. I got a Generac standby generator when I built my house 15 years ago. What a comfort that is. It's a little expensive. You get this 5,000 plus preparation like a pad and stuff, but it's worth every penny of it. When the power goes off, it automatically within 3 or 4 seconds cranks up the things that I've got activated in my house. The refrigerators and the hot water heater. Got to have hot water. Unfortunately, I have all electric furnaces. Not much I can do there. It would take a generator the size of my house to run those. But I do have 2 gas-fired fireplaces from using propane, and which also runs my generator. So I would like to recommend that. We now have in Munds Park, and I don't work for Generac, but we now have in Munds Park a certified Generac installer, maintenance guy. It's our electrician, Rick Salazar. And if anyone is interested, I'd be very happy to give his number to you, so you can get one of those installed. Also, years ago, as a recommendation of my good friend who lives in Munds Park, it was in the transportation business with tour buses. They changed out all of their chains for tire socks. It's a material, it's like a heavy duty nylon. I used to struggle for an hour to get my chains on. With these tire socks, you can put on both in less than 5 minutes. They're self-centering. They work as well or better than chains. And I have the place where I bought those. Again, I don't work for a tire sock company, but I have that address. So if you want to invest, it's about the same cost as chains. But I swear, 5 minutes, you get both sides of those things. And as you know, Adam, the only way to get up to most of Munds Park is on the 2 uphills, Crest Line and Fairway. That's always interesting to see the cars that get stopped on those 2 inclines. And if someone, keep your speed up. That's my recommendation. Keep your speed up as you're approaching that, and you'll make it up the hill better. If you try to slow down, I'm sure you would agree with that, Adam. Anyway. Anyone's free to give me a call. You got my number. I put it everywhere. It's at 928-600-3896. If you have any questions about where they get some of this stuff, please let me know. Is there anything else, Adam, besides us getting
I guess
together?
just, you know what, since you had touched on it, one of the things that I would actually like to throw out there as well as chimney inspections, exhaust inspections. You had mentioned getting a generator, and that might be something for people to start preparing for, getting a company out just to check the flues and make sure things are all cleaned out and prepared for a winter time. Maybe Chief Tope has some recommendations on better preparation to make sure that carbon monoxide detectors are up to date and flues are getting checked, things along those lines, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. The fire department, Josh, are you still on? No. Okay. The fire department does have equipment that you can use yourself. I would never get high enough to clean out but go ahead, Josh. Go on.
Yeah, Len, we do. If you're able-bodied to get on your roof and clean your chimney, we do loan it out. But there's several vendors out of Flagstaff that'll do chimney cleaning as well. We also recommend, daylight savings time just switched. Arizona doesn't really pay attention to that, but we use it. Fire departments always recommend switching your batteries and smoke detectors, CO detectors, and cleaning your chimneys at least at that switch. So that's twice a year. You want to check those things. So that's a reminder there is daylight saving time switch.
Thank you, Josh.
Yep.
Adam, anything else?
I think that's all I had to bring for us tonight.
Now, you haven't been with us for wintertime yet, right?
I started last winter. So my pleasure was our first winter storm last year was my first night on duty with this. So it was a blast. We spent a lot of time at the bottom of Kona Hill pushing cars off the side of the road.
Well, typically we have had sometime over the winter, and people don't find out until they come back up to open up their place in the spring. And generally it's the manufactured homes that they've been broken into and things have been taken. This is very easy to do in the wintertime because up in the area where we have those manufactured homes, up in the northern part of the city, of the town, there's no one driving by. They can break in, steal things, not be observed. So I always wait for the shoe to drop around April when people start coming back. Hey, I've been broken into. So I don't know what the answer is. And even if you increase your patrols in those areas in the wintertime, it isn't to say that some guy they're waiting for you guys to go through and then they go. So I don't know what the answer is. A bunch of Doberman dogs around would probably be good. Anyway, thank you so
Right.
much. Thank you so much, Adam.
Thank you.
All right, next for the Coconino National Forest, Andrew, do we have you on?
Yep, I'm here, Lynn.
Andrew Hostad, our fire prevention specialist. So all yours, bud.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. Basically, get started right in. Not to take, Brian always follows me up and everything, and I hate stealing from his information because it's all way more detailed and better. But bottom line, we're looking at a dry La Nina winter. And when it comes to fire, that's going to have definitely potential for us. My background there says extreme. We're not quite to that. That's just my background here on this Zoom. But we're in moderate fire danger right now. However, all our indices are trending up, and with the forecast, it's looking like we're probably going to be moving into the low high category, or the low side of the high category pretty soon. With that, again, below normal precip, above normal temperatures is kind of the forecast. And again, we'll let Brian, he's the expert on that, but hopefully, what happened today is not a precursor for the rest of the winter. The local district, Flagstaff Ranger District here, responded to 2 different wildfires today. One out by Doney Park. It was about an acre. Again, it's abandoned campfire. And then there was one that we assisted the state, kind of again on the east side of Flagstaff, over in the Turkey Hills area. So, hopefully this isn't going to be a precursor to how the season or the winter goes, but everybody's kind of feeling that way. So, we're definitely wanting people to be safe, be responsible, and, keep vigilance out there because things are drying and it's going to stay dry this winter for the most part. With that, we've been doing some prescribed burns around the area. Many of you have seen smoke on the horizon. That has been at a couple different locations across the district. One up what we call the Wild Bill area off of 180. That was the previous 2 weeks. Just yesterday, we did the Crater Sinks area, which is up off of 89A above Oak Creek Canyon. And then like a week or 2 ago, we did some work down with the Mint Springs area, kind of east of Mormon Lake. Our burn windows are getting real short. The daytime ventilation rates, it's not enough time to let us get a bunch of our smoke up and out. We're definitely running up against kind of the end of our overall broadcast burning season. And we may try to get 1 or 2 burns in. There's an area called the 3 Echo, which is between Lake Mary Road and just kind of east of Mountain Air, sandwiched between Lake Mary Road and I-17 there, that we might try to hit in a week or 2. But for the most part, we're burning on the very cool end of our prescriptions. And, we may be waiting until sometime in the spring when we can get a little bit more of the fire effects that we're hoping to achieve on the hotter side of our prescription and that sort of thing. So probably not too much more for prescribed burning. unless we get a few bouts of moisture where we can, as your folks have been out in the forest, they probably see as the collection of machine and hand piles that are from various timber activity and that sort of thing. We will try to target some of those coming up in the future. The main things for folks in the park there to be aware of, and I'm gonna share my screen if I can. This is looking at, let me know if it came up there. You
Yes.
see a map?
Yep. Got it.
Okay, so here, if you can see where my cursor is going here, we've got Munds Park. We've got, this is the part of the 5-year timber management plan. So here on the north side and kind of the east side of the park, you've got the Frog Tank timber sale. That a lot of your residents may have started noticing this summer. They started a bunch of the trees out here in several of the units. We're starting to get orange paint on them as the timber markers we're going through, marking up for future timber sales. That timber sale is expected to be advertised in the third quarter of this fiscal year 22. So next April, June timeframe. If awarded, work could start as early as next summer, but there's a fair chance it wouldn't start until next fall or sometime in 2023. Then one that's on the west side of the park there, in this green block here, that's the Munds Park timber sale. And it looks like only units 4 and 5, which are pretty much, I think, the thin, narrow strip right here, directly adjacent to the park, for encompassing about 228 acres in total. The contractor is expected to resume cutting before the end of this year in that. So you'll probably see a resuming of activity right there with both probably cutting and hauling out of there. Then, as I said, the Frog Tank one's the next big one on your doorstep here. But up in the, even north of that, and if you see here, that's the 700 road that kind of bisects the Frog Tank and Horse Park here. This Horse Park unit, the cutting is complete, but they're still hauling logs out of there. Further north than that, there's Bonita Tank. Cutting started last month, hauling to begin over the next few weeks. And then to the north and west of the Frog Tank sale is this Willard sale area. It was awarded to Dakota Logging, and cutting may start this fall, but more likely will start next year. So the good news is here, all around the park, we've been taking action both with the mechanical fuel treatments of the thinning and everything, as well as following it up with prescribed fire to help create that buffer around the park to help minimize the potential for catastrophic wildfire, making the forest more resilient and generating better forest health and everything. So that's kind of the main things. And I know you guys always have a lot to go through. So unless there's any specific questions, and a report.
Yeah, Andrew, will these trucks be hauling on 700? Will they be hauling up to Mountain Air? They're not going to be coming down through 242 our park, are they?
I have not been made aware of what the haul routes are. Let me talk with the timber folks and I'll give you the info, follow up with you. But
okay.
I don't know for sure. I think they have been going back up this 700 because there is a new little reroute that they've been working on because of some private land and easements right off the 700 and everything. So.
Okay, great. Another question for you, Andrew. Well, a lot of the trees we see are dying, dead or whatever. Do we have any information as to the, I'm not sure what the adjective is, bark beetles? Are we getting any bark beetles, or do you observe those, or do you see them, or you test for them?
Well, so the bark beetles are native to the pine forest here and everything. I have not been hearing of any large outbreaks, and there was a little bit up the 132, kind of, closer to the Lake Mary side of the 132, or a Crimson Road, if you will, kind of by the Lake Mary area. There was a little bit. They had harvested and put into piles a bunch of trees, but then due to wildlife issues, like operations had to cease during the I believe it was either the nesting season for a certain species, and some beetles did start hitting a few places just because there were, all those freshly cut trees down on the ground that had to be held up from getting hauled out of there right away. But from what I've been told is that they've mitigated, any of those kind of little outbreaks there associated with that. So
Okay.
Bottom line is nothing seems to really be outbreaking anywhere
All right.
other than normal.
All right. Thanks, Andrew.
Yep.
Anything else? Any questions for Andrew, people? All right. Brian for the National Weather Service. Brian, you're on.
All right. Thank you, Len. Hey, it's great to be here again. Thank you so much for inviting me. As was just said, we're looking at a La Nina winter, but they come with a lot of different flavors. Some are significantly drier than others. Some have been wet. We'll just take about 2 or 3 minutes and chat a little bit about that. Can I share my screen? So I'll go ahead and do that.
Okay.
If it works, let's do that right there. And that should do it. So we have a La Nina winter. What does that mean? That means that the equatorial Pacific waters are a bit dry, are a bit colder than normal. And that tends to steer the jet stream a bit to the north and away from the desert southwest. So a good way to think of it is that we're going to have less of a frequency of the winter storms that we normally do. Instead of maybe getting 1 to 2 storms a month, we might get just 1 storm a month through the winter, but it'll certainly come in phases, just like we saw last year. Last year was a moderate to strong La Nina winter, and we had a very dry fall and a very dry early winter until mid to late January came. And then, we had quite a snowy year and a lot of precipitation. Turned out to be slightly above normal in the Flagstaff area for snow after a very, very dry start. But we're certainly starting that way now. The image here shows that the jet stream is normally deflected to the north and spilling down well to the east of us. That's exactly what we're seeing right now. We haven't had any significant precipitation now for almost a month, since the first or second week in October is the last time we had some significant precipitation. In the past 6 weeks have been very dry. As was just stated, the forests are getting dry. But if we look at the past, let's say 15 La Ninas, I have little thumbnails here in the upper right. You really can't see them, but it kind of represents the moisture excess or the moisture deficit in the past 15 La Ninas. Where it's brown, it was a dry winter. Where it's green, it was a wet winter. In a nutshell, I can tell you that out of these 15, we had 4, maybe 5 winners that were near or above normal. The rest were below normal. So just given our history over the past 15 La Niñas, we have about 11 out of 15 chance, or, almost a 60-70% chance of it being drier than normal. Right now, it looks like we are right on that track. So the official forecast from NOAA is here on the right, showing above normal temperatures. This November is tracking very warm right now, one of the warmest on record, certainly in the top 20%. And the precipitation outlook for the Southwest and for northern Arizona is leaning toward below normal precipitation. Now, what we can hope for is that what we get this year is like what we had last year. Though it started out very dry, we ended up getting copious snowfall last year. We'll keep our fingers crossed that that's indeed the case, but it's leaning drier and warmer than normal. Now let's take a look at the next couple weeks. What do we see in our crystal balls? It's a slight chance of some precipitation around Thanksgiving. Keep your eyes for that. Keep your fingers crossed, but it looks like pretty light precipitation around Thanksgiving. And then we really don't see anything else passing through northern Arizona until maybe around the first week in December. So it's going to be dry here for the next couple weeks. So keep your fingers crossed and hope for a good latter part of the winter here.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Any questions from anybody? I guess I had the wrong idea of La Nina. I thought La Nina was dry for the whole season, but you said we had a La Nina last year, and then we got copious amounts of snow. So it doesn't mean just because we have a La Nina, it doesn't mean we're not going to have any precipitation, right?
Exactly. We've had a couple with very copious moisture, so it's hit and miss. It just kind of leans toward that dry.
Okay. Well, so White Christmas probably not too much. Huh?
We'll see. We'll hope for a White Christmas for sure.
All right. Thank you, Brian. All right. I'm sorry. Okay. From Coconino County Public Works, my main man, Mark Della Rocca. It's your program, dude.
Well, hi everyone. And first of all, I'm going to start out with a quick question, and also just want to let all of our attendees know, if you do have a question, hit the raise hand icon on the bottom, and we will turn on your microphone and you can ask it. But I'm going to go first here because this is actually my 10-year anniversary with Public Works, and my first meeting ever was November 16th, 2011. So 10 years and 1 day ago, that was my first meeting. First time I met Len, and he's been making me pay for it ever since, but that's okay because we love him and he's a great guy. So I honestly don't have a lot to share right now. What I would like to do is just introduce you to a couple of our folks over here at Public Works. Public Works has had a very busy year. Everything from snow removal to flood response to drainage maintenance, and then some. We truly have been a department for all seasons. It's been a challenging year as well. People have heard of the Great Resignation. We have had a tsunami of retirements, people who have been with Public Works their entire working life, 30 to 40 years, and still are younger than I am, and they are calling it a career. And right now we are still working to bring our numbers back up with regards to our maintenance folks. So we appreciate everybody's patience as we do that, and we still continue to do the absolute best job we can. But presiding over this, we have a couple of folks. Our first is Christopher Tressler, who is our county engineer. I saw him on here. There he is. So Christopher, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
All right. I just want to say that Public Works is working to cross over or change over our equipment and putting on snow plows on our trucks and getting our graders ready to respond to any snow that we may have. We are going to be doing some maintenance, continue to do maintenance in Munds Park, drainage maintenance, ditch maintenance, and things like that. But we are looking at chip sealing and crack filling this winter, more towards the Kachina Village Mountain Air side of things, though. But yeah, that's I think Mark, all I have to share.
Okay, let me ask you a question. For your snow plows and stuff for this winter, I believe you have an arrangement that you're getting set with the with the Pinewood Sanitary District to put your equipment there in the yard with some improvements like electricity and stuff. Is that progressing to your satisfaction?
Yeah, we're working to get that area developed so that we can stage equipment there. Yes.
Okay, well, I'm on the board of directors for that. So if you have any problems, let me know. All right. Anything else, Chris? Okay, Mark, you're back to it. Can't hear you, Mark.
Yeah, I haven't been doing enough to basically unmute myself. So anyway, in addition to the work that we do, a lot of folks also know that our team also acts as the operational arm for the county flood control district. And a large part of that has to do with forest restoration. And to Andrew's point, basically doing treatments, et cetera, to make our forests more resilient, restore them to a healthier matrix. And the person who basically leads that up is Jay Smith, who's here with us tonight. Jay also is currently acting as our interim deputy director. So Jay, go ahead and share with us what's going on.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. So real quick on that last question you had, Lynn, I do know I saw a thing this morning, an email that Goodman Electric is going to be working on the power pole. They're getting a permit right now, waiting on a permit from the county to get that work going. So you should start seeing some action out there to get the power pole put in, electricity for that staging area for our equipment. As far as, as far as the forest restoration goes and within our flood control district, we got some really exciting news. Last week, we hosted Senator Sinema and Senator Kelly put together a meeting with the chief of the Forest Service and those from the Forest Service around the region, the Albuquerque office. And at the end of that, the chief announced that they are looking at Coconino County and Coconino National Forest, the 4-Fry footprint, all 4 forests, with a $54 million kind of a seed money fund to start really jump-starting this 4-Fry back to the level we've been waiting for and wanting to get it at. They canceled the 4-Fry RFP, the phase 2, about 50 days ago, and within 45 days they had a plan put together to really ramp up some of this, and they're going to start it with this $54 million. Part of that is that they are going to look at some of the priority acres that the county has put as our priority. A lot of the steep slopes that, we're seeing where things like the Schultz fire and post-fire flooding and then the museum fire and post-fire flooding that impacts the flood control district. So we are excited about that, working closely with the Forest Service and other entities to try to get those projects off the ground, get things moving, and protect our communities. Also, the study that we funded, the Flood Control District funded through J.E. Fuller Hydrology, they're doing a study to look at what happens in post-fire flooding. They're modeling a bunch of stuff. One of the areas that we are really focusing on is that south portion of Mormon Mountain that would affect Munds Park. And so they're hoping to have that study finalized by the end of January. All these flooding and fires this summer has kind of put their timeline a little bit off. But what we're doing really to focus is, besides just looking at what if a fire comes through and then we have rain, monsoons, and the flooding, is what kind of treatments and how do treatments affect that and really, make the fires where they're less catastrophic, less of those high severity fires. And how do we prioritize? Can we prioritize areas that make more impact? So that's part of the study that we're really excited about to learn some things that can help protect communities like Munds Park that are right there in a floodplain that could be highly affected by some fires. And it's really good to see the Forest Service has got a lot of projects surrounding Munds Park that's going to be more to protect that area from catastrophic fire. So also I wanted to announce that we have been lucky enough to get Gregory Nelson, who is going to be on later talking about Matt Ryan's district. We have kind of taken him from Matt Ryan to be a program manager for the flood control district to help us with some of the museum flood response that and projects we're doing to mitigate some of the flood issues from museum fire. But we're also going to utilize him in his brain, his PhD brain that goes beyond me to help with some of these grants and some of the work that we're doing within the flood control district for forest restoration. So I want to announce that to let everybody know that Greg's going to be working full time with the flood control district going forward. So appreciate that. And Lynn, if you have any questions, or anyone, I'd be glad to answer them.
That's fantastic news. 54 million. Can I get 10% of that somehow?
You have to get in line for that one. I'm putting my fist down that I want that money for getting this forest back to a healthy state.
Well, that's good news. And then always keep in mind now that Chief Tope is going to have a new boat. If we have a flood down in Munds Park, we can always utilize that. Yep. I don't have any more questions. If anyone else does, speak up. Yep. All right. Thank you, Jay. Great news. Thank you.
Yep.
Marky, it's back to you.
I'm going to first of all, before we bring Wes Dyson on, our emergency management chief, I just wanted to share that Lucinda really wished that she could be here tonight. She was unable to do so, but she did ask me to share with everybody, all the best for a safe and happy Thanksgiving and holiday season. Hard to believe it's here. With that, let's welcome Wes Dyson, see what's new in the world of emergency management.
Hey, good evening, Mark. Thank you. Good evening, Len. Good to see you again.
Hi, Wes.
I'm having some bandwidth issues here at the house, so I'm going to stay off camera and hopefully get through this smoothly. I'm not sure what the issues are, but out here in Timberline tonight, bandwidth is not what it normally is. So anyway, EM, well, I tell you what, we could spend a long time going through what this summer's looked like for the entire county structure. EM and Public Works have been very heavily engaged in all kinds of activities. I'll start off with a personnel issue first of all, and I don't believe this was in effect last time we talked, but Tim Carter is now serving as our interim AD in emergency management. He's on the call, so if I forget something, he'll pick me up. Really, we are focused on kind of the after effects of this summer's events, the fires and the floods. And by that, I mean, we are currently tracking 7 emergency declarations across the county. That is an all-time record. One of those is a federal Stafford Act declaration. We share the federal declaration between Coconino County, Navajo County, and Apache County. That was for some summer storm events around July 22nd. So pretty big process to handle all of those and manage all those. They all have deadlines. FEMA is pretty unyielding in their checking of deadlines, and missing deadlines can cost certainly funding and reimbursements for disaster response. So we're really working very closely with all of our partners to make sure we're tracking all the deadlines for those. We have been working, and the Chief Tope mentioned it briefly, we've been working very hard with the Arizona Department of Forestry and Fire Management. And he's not on the call, but I would shout out to Director Tinney at DFFM. He is a great partner. His department administers the grant program. It's actually technically not a grant. It's a legislative allocation of $100 million. This is at the direction of the governor. It was intended to aid local and county governments recover from fires and subsequent post-fire flooding. There are a lot of rules and regulations about this funding that we won't go into tonight, but really the $100 million was cut up into several buckets. One of the buckets, and the one that we're focusing on, has about $36 million in it. And that bucket is for essentially emergency mitigation efforts. So what you saw in the Sunnyside neighborhood, debris clearing, what you saw on Dortha with placement of Jersey barriers to try to keep the water inside the channel, emergency type things. It does not provide funding for long-term fixes. There are other grant programs for that. This one is not for that. And it's kind of a fine distinction to draw, and I'm glad to answer questions, but it is a great, great funding source. And Director Tinney has been awesome with us. To date, we have acquired, approved, and received most of it, about $630,000 worth of financial cash reimbursements and new equipment for the region. This equipment ranges from some heavy equipment for public works to the swift water equipment that Chief Tote talked about. With that particular effort, we supported Pinewood, CCSO, Flagstaff Fire, Highlands Fire, and Ponderosa Fire. All of them are, of course, regional mutual aid partners for swiftwater rescue, technical rescue efforts. And in total, for those 5 departments, we received just shy of $100,000 in funding to really up their capabilities across all those departments. You might ask, why aren't all fire districts? I believe we have 17 in the county. There are some limitations to this funding. The funding must have a direct relationship to the Raphael or the museum fire or post-fire flooding. So, for example, a fire that took place in northern Arizona, this funding is not available for that. And it's one of the limitations that's in place that we have to follow. But really, in the broader sense, CCSO's Swiftwater team will go anywhere in the county. Most of these fire districts would support anything anywhere in the county. So while we're a little bit, our hands are tied just a little bit on who all can get the funding, the fact is that once we get the capabilities on board, the new rescue raft, and I'll talk about Jones in a second, once we get all that stuff on board, we can use it anywhere in the county with the understanding that its principal drive is for Raphael and museum related responses. The chief mentioned the drone. So we now have emergency management has a fully operational drone. Tim is our FAA sanctioned licensed pilot. And we have brought 2 other drones into the region through CCSO and through Pinewood Fire. I'm sorry, 3 others, and Flagstaff Fire. These new drones are not the drones of yesteryear. These are very high quality, very highly capable pieces of equipment that can do many great things for us. They can assess repeat flooding. They can fly the same pattern over a wash or a culvert or a slot canyon and give us good, high quality high definition video so we can compare them. And when I say we, I'm talking about like Christopher, for example, our engineer. He can look at this and look at water flows and see what maybe are concerns or things that we need to mitigate. So the new drone capability that's across the county has gone up exponentially in just the last month or 2, and it will benefit us in many ways. On the search and rescue side, these drones are capable of lighting up large areas. They're capable of long-range voice communications. So you're down, you're in the forest, the drone flies over, it sees you. The rescue personnel can talk to you through the drone. They can light your area up. They can plot you on GPS. They're pretty impressive pieces of equipment. So again, it's a complicated program, and I'd be happy to answer more specific questions, but it is benefiting us greatly. The City of Flagstaff, CCSO, the County Flood Control District, County Public Works, Emergency Management have all received equipment and support so far. So it's really good stuff. And again, I shout out to Dave Tinney for his support. We are prepared. There's been some talk about, approaching winter. Brian, leaves open the window for potentially some high impact storms. We have already had all of our planning in place for what we affectionately call the 515 snow calls. They generally occur as we anticipate an incoming storm. So Brian says you got a big storm coming your way. Emergency management arranges a call that brings together all the key partners that kind of discusses what this storm is going to look like, right? Are we going to have delayed start? Are we going to have road closures? Whatever the case may be. And we have all of our key partners on there: Public Works, DPS, City of Flagstaff Public Works, CCSO, and on and on. All the key partners are on. We get on the phone at 5:15. We have about a 15-minute call. The county manager makes, based on some recommendations from me, makes some direction to county staff, and we move forward. It's a well-rehearsed process, and it is already been dusted off and is ready to go for this year. And then really largely, probably the last thing for emergency management is we are still serving as the logistics section for the incident management team for the COVID response. As everyone has seen in the news, that has continued to gain complexity with the addition of boosters, some boosters for others, different boosters for others. And then, of course, now the addition of the adolescent dose for 5 to 17-year-olds. There are various types of doses, amounts of doses. All of that, of course, is handled by our clinic lead. Debbie Bronson really handles all that. But logistically, we are continuing to serve the IMT for that response. The latest lift was making sure that the current adolescent vaccination effort by the county, which occurs every Wednesday and Friday, was recently moved over to Flagstaff Mall. Looking at approaching winter weather and other concerns, we moved it out of the parking lot of HHS and sent it over to the mall. The mall was a great partner. Another shout out to the mall management and ownership. They provided us with the keys to the now closed Denny's restaurant over by Hobby Lobby. We have converted that to a vaccine clinic. Working very well. It is again happening every Wednesday and Friday from noon to 5. But we are only, as of this call, I will say, as of right now, Lynn, we are only distributing to 5 to 17-year-olds. We are not doing any adult vaccinations at this time. That could change in the next couple of days, but just for now, that's where we're at. There are a significant number of locations available for adults. There are quite a bit fewer locations available for the adolescent dose. So we're trying to close that gap. Other than that, unless Tim can think of something I've missed, or if you have questions, Len, that's all I have.
Hey, Wes, this is Tim. The only other thing I would like to throw in and kind of what we do for all of our meetings with you guys. First, I want to thank Adam from the Sheriff's Office for mentioning making sure winter preparedness, that you have the go kits and everything like that ready for the house and the car. I would throw our name in the hat too for assistance if anybody needs any help with how to put those together. We've got some great info on our county website under emergency management for that. But then also just go through and double check and make sure that you are registered for emergency notifications. And if you are, go through and just double check and make those current and updated. So we have that information. We came down this summer and attended one of the community fairs. And one of the questions that we got for that was, I don't live here full time. I have a house, a seasonal place in Munds Park. Can I still register? Absolutely. Please do. You'll still get those messages, those emails, those calls when we have to send out emergency notifications. So if you have any questions about that, check out our website. It's the coconino.az.gov/ready, and that'll take you to those. But I think, yeah, Wes, you guys covered it. Thanks for all the help from CCSO and Pinewood Fire. So.
You guys have used the initial CCSO. Maybe not everybody knows that's the sheriff's office.
Oh, sorry about that. We live in a world of acronyms, so
I know.
I get lost in that sometimes.
Okay. Thanks, Tim. Anything else, you guys? Wes, Tim, whatever? No?
Nope, that's it, Len. Thank you, sir.
All right. Greg Nelson, are you in?
Hi, Lynn. How's it going today?
Well, you got a fry up my throat.
Oh, sorry about that. Well, yeah, just thanks for having me on today. As Jay Smith mentioned, our interim deputy director at Public Works, I'm transitioning out of Matt Ryan's office to go help in the flood control district. So my transition's underway. Matt will be filling his district director role with someone in the near future. He couldn't be here tonight. Extends his blessings for a good Thanksgiving and happy holiday season to everyone. His daughter just had a major surgery, and so he's helping her and taking care of his grandkids. So couldn't be here today, but sent me. I don't have a whole lot of information to give. I just had a couple of things. Number one is that there's redistricting going on that'll determine our legislative districts for the next 10 years. So if you're not familiar with that process, check out the Arizona Independent Redistricting Commission's website. There are maps there that they've gone ahead and put up there, and anyone from the public can comment on that. Moving on, we also have been quite busy in Matt's office. Matt's currently the chair of the Board of Supervisors. That's a large task, making sure the board's agendas are set, working with staff and county management, going through a process right now on our American Rescue Plan funding allocations and how the board will determine those in regards to internal needs within the county, as well as external applications that we may receive for funding to mobilize these resources in our county. And so that's programming. That funding is what he's been working on largely lately, working with his colleagues in county management to develop a plan and then come to a plan to really see about expending those funds. That's a Herculean effort. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity with that act that's come forward. The president signed an infrastructure bill on Monday. That'll have huge impact on our county, and Matt's also involved in discussions around that and how that funding will be allocated and prioritized strategically to meet the needs of our citizens and our community members as we move forward with these large packages that are coming down from the federal government. But it's been a real honor to serve in Matt's office. If this is indeed my last meeting with you in this capacity, I've really enjoyed working with the community of Munds Park. I'll still be working in our flood control district. I've really enjoyed serving the constituents of Munds Park and everything that comes to our office from you all. It's been a true honor serving in Matt's office. I was promoted. It's a good opportunity for me, but just wanted to thank the community for the trust that they placed in me while I served in this capacity for their representative. So thank you, Lynn, and thank you to the entire staff here tonight and all the partners for coming together and making these meetings so meaningful.
Oh, thank you, Greg. I really appreciate I guess it's a weekly update on the statistics for the COVID and stuff. It's very informative. I hope you're not going to just completely leave, Matt. I mean, doesn't he still need help?
He will. He's in a recruitment process right now, trying to identify someone that wants to come in and serve with him. But I will be transitioning out of the District 3 office and back into county administration in the flood control district, working with Jay Smith and Lucinda, leaving the, if you will, the legislative branch of county government, which is the supervisor's offices. And so moving back under the county management within the administration. So I will be functioning in a different capacity. However, if folks want to reach out to me, I can always route what we need to get done to appropriate folks, or if you have questions, I'll be there. And I'm still in transition. I am with Matt until he finds someone, and he is currently chair of the board. And so we'll not be leaving him high or dry, nor the office, nor all the great people in Munds Park and across our district.
Well, thanks, Greg. I'm sure Lucinda will bring you in on some of these meetings for your area of expertise. Been a real pleasure to have worked with you. I hope we continue working with you. We need people like you in these positions. Anything else, Craig, that you want to share with us?
No, thank you, Lynn. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak, and then also to be here with all the wonderful people and leaders of the community that come together and work with Munds Park. It's truly a special place, and really enjoyed the opportunity.
Well, I think it's a special place. I've owned property for 54 years there, and I'm not going anywhere. All right. Bringing this to a close. Mark, can you put up that schedule? By any chance? I have a 2-year schedule.
Yeah, I certainly can. Give me 1 second over here.
Let me talk while you're doing that.
Okay.
We meet once every 13 weeks. February, May, August, November. It's always the third Wednesday of the month. Always at 6:30. It's never going to change, even if I have no one to top at me. I think it's nice to have something that far out where you can plan, put it in your agendas or whatever. I tried to send out a copy of this with every email I put out. I don't know if you got it or not, but you got it, Mark?
Yeah, give me 1 second
Well,
here.
it's not rocket science. It's once every 13 weeks, never changes.
Hold on 1 second. And
Our next meeting will be February 16th. It will be a Zoom presentation. Chief Tope said that would be the best thing to do. Still continuing with the, trying to keep people out from being together in one big room. Hopefully that's going to change for May, but February, over the last, I've been putting these meetings on since 2007. So I've probably canceled February half the time because of weather. So February, for 2 reasons: we still have the hopefully lingering pandemic thing, and for weather. So you can stay in your nice warm house with a couple of fingers of brandy sitting by the fireplace, joining us in the meeting. So February will be a Zoom meeting. So any questions on that? I assume not. Thank you, everybody. Been a pleasure listening to all you guys again. Well, I hope to see you all in 13 weeks. It's yours to close out, Mark.
okay, well, listen, thank you again, everyone. As always, it's a pleasure to be here with all of you. And of course, we are always here. If you ever have questions, concerns, etc., for Public Works, don't hesitate to drop us a line here. Just give me a call and we will do everything we can for you as usual. And that's it. So again, all the best for a safe and happy Thanksgiving and holiday season. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, Mark.
Bye-bye.